Sarah was just 23 years old, a regular girl living in her father's house, helping in the garden, reading books, dreaming about the day she'd fall in love and choose her own path. But that morning, her father called her into his office and told her something that shattered her world.
I can't keep doing this. It's tearing me apart.
Sarah, you're getting married. In 2 weeks. To General Marcus Hale. Just like that. No discussion. No choice. No escape. And if you don't know who General Marcus Hale is, let me tell you, he's the kind of man mothers warn their daughters about. Cold, powerful, dangerous. The man they call the Iron General, because nobody has ever seen him smile. Nobody has ever gotten close to him. And now, Sarah was supposed to become his wife. This is her story. And trust me, it's going to take you on a journey you won't forget.
I think that the next steps if we're willing to explore it together.
I'm listening. Tell me more about what you're envisioning.
You know that feeling when your whole life changes in a single moment? When someone makes a decision for you, and suddenly everything you dreamed about just disappears? That's exactly what happened to Sarah Mitchell on a cold Tuesday morning in September. Let me paint you a picture of Sarah's life before that day. She wasn't rich, but her family had a good name. Her father, William Mitchell, was a respected businessman. But here's the thing. After Sarah's mother died when she was 10, her father remarried, and his new wife, Catherine, brought her own son into the family, a stepbrother named Derek, who made Sarah's life miserable. Catherine never liked Sarah. She saw her as competition, as a reminder of the first wife. And Derek? He treated Sarah like she was invisible, or worse, like she was beneath him. But Sarah found peace in small things. Her garden, her books, her little sister, Emma, who was only 15 and still believed in fairy tales. That Tuesday morning, Sarah was planting roses when she heard Catherine's sharp voice calling her. "Sarah, your father wants you. Now." The tone told her something was wrong. She walked into that office with dirt still on her hands, and what she saw made her heart drop. Her father looked tired, older than his 50 years. And Derek was standing next to him with this smug look on his face that made her stomach turn. "Sit down, Sarah," her father said. She sat. "I've arranged your marriage. You'll be married to General Marcus Hale in 2 weeks." For a second, Sarah couldn't breathe. She actually thought she'd heard wrong. "What? It's done, Sarah. The papers are signed. The general has agreed." "But father, I don't even know him." "You don't need to know him," Catherine interrupted with that fake sweet voice she always used. "You need to obey. This marriage will save this family." "Save us from what?" Sarah asked, looking at her father. He wouldn't meet her eyes. "That's not your concern." But Sarah knew. She'd heard the whispers. Her father's business was failing. He owed money, dangerous money, and somehow, this marriage was the solution. Derek laughed. "You should be grateful, sister. Most women would kill to marry a man like General Hale. Then you marry him." Sarah shot back. The slap came fast. Catherine's hand across her face. "Watch your mouth. You'll do as you're told."
I need your help to understand what happened.
Sarah held her burning cheek and looked at her father, waiting for him to defend her, to say something, anything, but he just looked away. That's when Sarah realized the truth. She wasn't a daughter to these people. She was a bargaining chip, a way out of debt, nothing more. I want you to pause for a second and think about this. Have you ever felt like the people who were supposed to protect you just didn't? Like you were alone in a room full of family? Sarah felt that every single day, and now she was being forced into a marriage with a stranger, a powerful, dangerous stranger, who could crush her with one decision. But here's what I need you to understand. This story isn't just about Sarah's pain. It's about what she does with it, how she survives, how she finds strength in the darkest places. If you're already feeling this story, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and tell me, have you ever felt trapped by other people's decisions? Let's talk about it. Now, let me tell you what happened next. The next 2 weeks were torture. Sarah was measured for wedding dresses she didn't want, taught how to be a proper wife by Catherine, who clearly enjoyed every moment of Sarah's misery. And through it all, nobody told her anything real about Marcus Hale. All she had were the rumors. They said he'd never lost a battle, that he was ruthless on the battlefield, that he lived in a huge estate on the edge of the city that looked more like a military base than a home. They said he'd been engaged once, years ago, but the woman died in an accident. And after that, Marcus became even colder, even more closed off. Some people said he killed her. Others said he just stopped caring about anything except war. Either way, Sarah was terrified.
We need to make a decision now.
But we must consider all options carefully.
The night before the wedding, her little sister Emma snuck into her room. "Sarah, are you scared?" Emma asked, crawling into bed next to her. Sarah wanted to lie, to be strong for her baby sister, but she couldn't. "I'm terrified, Emma. Maybe he's not as bad as they say. And maybe I'm about to marry a monster." Emma held her hand tight. "Then I'll come save you, I promise." Sarah smiled through her tears. "I know you will, baby girl." But deep down, Sarah knew nobody was coming to save her. She was on her own. The wedding day arrived too fast. The church was packed with people Sarah didn't know. Military officers in crisp uniforms. Wealthy families there to see the spectacle. Her father and Catherine sitting in the front row, looking relieved that they'd successfully sold her off. And then Sarah saw him. General Marcus Hale stood at the altar, and honestly, he didn't look like a monster. He looked tired, handsome in a harsh way, with dark hair starting to gray at the temples, and these intense brown eyes that seemed to see right through everything. He was tall, broad-shouldered, the kind of man who commanded attention just by existing. But his face? Completely emotionless, like he was attending a business meeting, not his own wedding. Sarah walked down that aisle feeling like she was walking to her execution. When she reached him, Marcus barely looked at her, just a quick glance before turning back to face the priest. The ceremony was short, mechanical. When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," Marcus leaned down and gave her the most emotionless peck on the lips Sarah had ever experienced. It felt like being kissed by a statue, and just like that, Sarah Mitchell became Sarah Hale, the general's wife. The ride to Marcus's estate was silent. He sat across from her in the car, staring out the window, not saying a single word. Sarah wanted to say something, anything, but what do you say to a man who just married you like you were a piece of furniture? When they finally arrived, Sarah understood why people called it a fortress. High walls, security gates, armed guards everywhere. The house itself was massive and cold, all dark wood and stone, with military precision in every corner. A housekeeper named Helen met them at the door. She was an older woman with kind eyes, and when she looked at Sarah, there was sympathy there. "Welcome, Mrs. Hale," Helen said gently. "Let me show you to your room." "Her room is on the second floor, east wing," Marcus said without looking at either of them. "Make sure she has everything she needs." And then he just walked away, disappeared into another part of the house like Sarah didn't exist. Helen touched Sarah's arm softly. "Come on, dear. Let's get you settled." Sarah's room was nice. Big bed, expensive furniture, a window overlooking the training grounds where soldiers were running drills. But it felt empty, cold. "Will he come to my room tonight?" Sarah asked quietly, scared of the answer. Helen shook her head. "The general keeps to himself, dear. I wouldn't worry about that." Sarah didn't know if she should feel relieved or insulted. That night, she lay in that big empty bed, in that big empty room and cried. Not loud, dramatic crying, just quiet tears that soaked into the pillow, because she realized something awful. She wasn't just trapped in a loveless marriage, she was invisible. Marcus Hale didn't see her as a person. She was just another duty, another box to check. And that hurt more than anything Catherine or Derek had ever done to her. Days passed. Then a week. Sarah barely saw Marcus. He left early every morning for the military base, came home late, ate dinner alone in his office. The only time Sarah saw him were brief passings in the hallway, and he never said more than a quick nod. It was like living with a ghost. But Sarah noticed things. Fresh flowers appeared in her room every morning. The kitchen always made her favorite foods without her asking. On cold days, there'd be a warm blanket waiting in the library before she got there. Someone was paying attention, and Sarah was pretty sure it wasn't Helen. One week after the wedding, Sarah decided she'd had enough of being ignored. She waited until dinner time, then walked straight into Marcus's office without knocking. He looked up from his desk, surprised. "Sarah? What?" "We need to talk," she said, closing the door behind her. "I'm working. I don't care." His eyebrows raised slightly, like he wasn't used to being interrupted. "Why did you marry me?" Sarah asked directly. Marcus leaned back in his chair. For a long moment, He just looked at her. Then he said, "Because it was necessary." "Necessary for what?" "For both of our families. Your father needed help. I needed what this marriage provides." "Which is what?" "Stability, political favor, the appearance of normalcy." Sarah felt her chest tighten. "So, I'm just for appearances?" "Yes." The bluntness stung. At least he was honest. "Well, let me be honest too," Sarah said, her voice shaking but strong. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. But I'm here. And the least you could do is treat me like a human being instead of a piece of furniture." Something flickered in Marcus's eyes. Something almost like guilt. "I'm not good at this," he said quietly. "At what?" "At being a husband. At being close to people." "Then why get married at all?" Marcus stood up, walking to the window. For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then, so quietly Sarah almost missed it, he said, "Because everyone expects me to be something I'm not, and I'm tired of fighting it." Sarah walked closer. "What are you really, Marcus?" He turned to look at her, and for the first time, she saw past the cold mask. She saw pain, loneliness, exhaustion. "I don't know anymore," he admitted. And in that moment, something shifted. Sarah realized Marcus Hale wasn't a monster. He was just a broken man who'd forgotten how to be anything else. "Then maybe," Sarah said softly, "we figure it out together." Marcus looked at her for a long time. Then, just barely, he nodded. It wasn't much, but it was a start. You see what just happened there? That moment where Sarah refused to just accept being invisible? That's the moment everything started to change. Because here's the truth. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is demand to be seen. To refuse to disappear just because someone wants you to. Sarah could have stayed quiet. Could have accepted her role as the ignored wife. But she didn't. She walked into that office, and she made Marcus see her. And that's when the real story begins. If you're feeling this, leave a comment. Tell me, what would you have done in Sarah's situation? Would you have demanded respect? Or would you have stayed silent? Hit that like button if this story is pulling you in. And let's keep going, because things are about to get deeper. After that conversation, things started to shift. Marcus still wasn't warm, still wasn't openly affectionate, but he started trying. He'd ask Sarah how her day was at dinner. Short questions, but genuine. He'd recommend books from his library that he thought she'd like. Once, he even smiled, just a tiny smile, when Sarah made a joke about how serious he always looked. And Sarah? She started to see past the walls. She learned that Marcus woke up at 5 a.m. every day and trained with his soldiers, that he read military history every night before bed, that he had nightmares sometimes. She could hear him through the walls, though he never mentioned them. She also learned about his past. Helen told her bits and pieces over tea one afternoon. "He wasn't always this way," Helen said sadly. "Before the war, Marcus was different. He laughed. He had friends. He believed in honor and protecting people." "What changed?" Sarah asked. "The Battle of Riverside. You heard of it?" Everyone had heard of Riverside. It was the worst battle in the country's recent history. Thousands of soldiers died. Marcus was younger then, Helen continued. He was leading a unit under General Patterson. But during the battle, Patterson betrayed them, sent Marcus's unit into a trap to save himself. Sarah's heart sank. Marcus survived? Barely. He was one of only 12 men who made it out. And after that, Helen's voice dropped. He changed, became harder, stopped trusting people, rose through the ranks fast because he was brilliant and ruthless. But he lost something that day. His heart, Sarah whispered. Maybe, or maybe he just buried it so deep he forgot where to find it. That night, Sarah couldn't stop thinking about it, about the man Marcus used to be, about the trauma he carried, and she made a decision. If Marcus had forgotten how to be human, maybe she could remind him. Everything exploded on a rainy Thursday afternoon. Sarah was in the library when she heard shouting outside. She looked out the window and saw Marcus in the training yard with his soldiers. But this wasn't normal training. One soldier was on the ground, bleeding, gasping for air, and Marcus was standing over him, yelling, "Get up, sir, please." I said, "Get up!" The soldier tried. He really did. But he collapsed again, too injured to continue. Marcus raised his hand like he was about to strike him, and Sarah snapped. She ran, flew down the stairs, out into the pouring rain, and before she could think, she was standing between Marcus and the soldier. "Stop!" she shouted. Every soldier froze. The entire yard went dead silent. Marcus stared at her, shocked. "Sarah, what are you? He's had enough. Can't you see that? This is not your concern." "He's a human being!" Sarah's voice cracked. "Not a machine, not a tool, a person. And you're treating him like he's worthless." The rain poured down on them both. Marcus's face was unreadable, but his eyes were full of something Sarah couldn't name. "You don't understand," he said quietly. "Then help me understand, because right now, all I see is a man who's forgotten how to show mercy." The soldier on the ground looked terrified. The other soldiers looked shocked. Nobody talked to General Hale like this, ever. But Marcus didn't yell, didn't lash out. He just stared at Sarah for what felt like forever. Then he said, "Training is over." Everyone dismissed. The soldiers scattered quickly, helping their injured comrade away. Marcus and Sarah stood alone in the rain. "You shouldn't have done that," he said. "I know. You made me look weak in front of my men. I made you look human." He flinched like she'd hit him. Then, without another word, he turned and walked away, leaving Sarah standing in the rain, shaking. That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the scene in the training yard, the look in Marcus's eyes, the way he'd walked away. Around midnight, she heard footsteps outside her door, then a knock. "Come in," she said. Marcus opened the door slowly. He was still in his training clothes, his hair damp from the rain. He looked lost. "I owe you an explanation," he said quietly. "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do." He stepped inside, closing the door. "That soldier today. His name is David. He's 20 years old. And he reminds me of someone." "Who?" Marcus sat down on the edge of her bed, his shoulders heavy. "My younger brother, Thomas." Sarah's breath caught. She didn't know Marcus had a brother. "Thomas joined my unit when he turned 18, Marcus continued, his voice thick with emotion. "I tried to stop him, told him it was too dangerous, but he wanted to prove himself, wanted to be like his big brother, Marcus. He died at Riverside. In that trap, in my arms." Marcus's voice broke, and I couldn't save him. Tears filled Sarah's eyes. "Every time I see a young soldier struggle," Marcus said, "I see Thomas, and I push them harder because I think if they're strong enough, they won't die like he did. But today, when you stepped in," he looked at her, "you were right. I wasn't training him. I was punishing him for reminding me of my failure." "You didn't fail," Sarah said softly, moving to sit beside him. "You survived. And Thomas wouldn't want you to carry this guilt forever." "How do you know?" "Because I lost my mother when I was 10, and for years I blamed myself. Thought if I'd been better, kinder, smarter, maybe she wouldn't have gotten sick. But eventually, I realized something. She took his hand. Grief isn't meant to destroy us. It's meant to remind us how deeply we loved." Marcus looked at their joined hands, and a tear rolled down his cheek.
You're safe now.
With you always.
"I don't know how to let go," he whispered. "Then let me help you." He looked at her, really looked at her, and Sarah saw something new in his eyes. "Hope. Why are you being so kind to me?" he asked. "I've given you nothing but coldness." "Because," Sarah said, "I see who you really are. Not the general, not the soldier, the man, the one who's hurting, and that man deserves kindness." Marcus pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was the only solid thing in his world. And for the first time since she'd arrived, Sarah felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. "Can we just stop for a second and appreciate what just happened?" Sarah didn't just demand to be seen. She saw Marcus, really saw him, past the anger, past the walls, past the pain. She saw the broken man underneath and chose to love him anyway. That's not weakness, that's strength, real strength. Because it's easy to walk away from broken people. It's hard to stay, to fight for them, to believe they can heal. If this story is touching your heart, please share it. Someone out there needs to hear this message today. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever helped someone heal? Or has someone helped you? Let's keep going, because the story is about to take a turn. For a few weeks, things were good. Marcus started opening up more. He'd smile sometimes, real smiles that made Sarah's heart flutter. They'd have dinner together every night. He'd tell her stories about his travels. She'd tell him about her dreams of one day opening a bookstore. They even laughed together. Actual, genuine laughter. Sarah started to believe that maybe, just maybe, this forced marriage could become something real. But happiness never lasts long. One morning, a letter arrived. Sarah was having breakfast when Helen brought it in, her face pale. "Mrs. Hale, this just came. It's marked urgent." The envelope was black, with a red seal. No return address. Sarah opened it with shaking hands. Inside, the message was short and terrifying. "The general has something I want. His position, his reputation, his life. And now, he has a weakness. You, tell him to step down, or you'll pay the price. You have 1 week. Victor Patterson." Sarah's blood turned to ice. Victor Patterson, the man who'd betrayed Marcus at Riverside, the man responsible for Thomas's death. He was alive, and he was coming for them. Sarah immediately found Marcus in his office. "Marcus, we need to talk. Now." One look at her face and he was on his feet. "What happened?" She handed him the letter. She watched his expression change from concern to pure rage. "That bastard," Marcus growled. "He's alive. Who is he really?" "My former commander, the man who sent my brother to die." Marcus crushed the letter in his fist. "He was discharged after Riverside. Disappeared. I thought he'd left the country. PI said no." She grabbed his arms. "I'm not running while you face this alone. We're in this together. Remember? He'll kill you. Maybe. Or maybe we're stronger together than he thinks." Marcus stared at her, torn between protecting her and respecting her courage. Finally, he pulled her close. "If anything happens to you, I'll never forgive myself." "Nothing's going to happen," Sarah promised, "because we're going to stop him." They had 1 week. Marcus called in his most trusted soldiers. They fortified the estate, set up security, prepared for an attack. But Sarah had a different idea. "What if we don't wait for him to come to us?" she suggested. Marcus looked up from the maps on his desk. "What do you mean? What if we go to him first? Catch him off guard? That's suicide, Sarah. Or it's genius." Marcus almost smiled. "You're starting to think like a soldier." They spent hours planning. A small team would go to Patterson's location, while the rest created a distraction. It was dangerous, risky, possibly insane, but it was their best shot. The night before the mission, Sarah and Marcus stood on the balcony of their room, looking at the stars. "I'm scared," Sarah admitted. "So am I." "What if something goes wrong?" Marcus turned to face her, cupping her face in his hands. "Then I want you to know something. These past few months with you have been the best of my life. You gave me something I thought I'd lost forever." "What?" "A reason to hope." He kissed her then, deep and desperate, and Sarah kissed him back, pouring every ounce of love into that moment. The mission started at midnight. Against Marcus's protests, Sarah went with them. She'd been training, learning self-defense, and she refused to sit at home waiting. Patterson's hideout was in an abandoned warehouse district. The team moved silently, taking out guards one by one. Everything was going according to plan, until alarms blared. Guards swarmed from everywhere. Gunfire erupted. The team fought hard, but they were outnumbered. "Fall back!" Marcus shouted. But before they could retreat, Victor Patterson appeared. He was older now, gray-haired and bitter-looking, and he was staring directly at Sarah. "So this is the famous wife," he sneered. "The woman who tamed Marcus Hale." "Sarah, get behind me," Marcus growled. Patterson laughed. "Look at you, the great general, reduced to playing hero for a girl. Pathetic." "You killed innocent men," Marcus said coldly. "You sacrificed your own soldiers to save yourself, and now you want to lecture me?" "I did what I had to do to survive," Patterson snapped. "Just like you. The difference is, you pretended to care. I did care. That's why I'm still standing and you're hiding in warehouses." Patterson's face twisted with rage. He lunged at Marcus, and they clashed violently. The fight was brutal. Fists, kicks, years of hatred pouring out. And then Sarah saw it. One of Patterson's men, sneaking up behind Marcus with a knife. She didn't think. She just moved. Sarah threw herself between them, and the knife meant for Marcus's back buried itself in her side instead. Pain exploded through her body, but she didn't scream. She just gasped, stumbling. "Sarah!" Marcus's roar was inhuman. What happened next was a blur. Marcus moved faster than lightning, disarming the attacker and taking down Patterson in seconds. He pressed Patterson to the ground, rage in his eyes. "You took my brother from me, Marcus said, his voice shaking. And now, you tried to take her. Give me one reason why I shouldn't end you right now. Patterson laughed, even defeated. Because you're not a killer anymore, Marcus. She made you soft. Marcus's eyes found Sarah across the room. She was bleeding, barely standing, but she met his gaze. And she shook her head. Don't, she whispered. Don't let him turn you back. For a long moment, Marcus stood frozen. Then, slowly, he stepped back. You're right, he said to Patterson. I'm not a killer, but I am a general, and you're going to prison for the rest of your life. He signaled his men, and they arrested Patterson. Then Marcus was at Sarah's side, catching her as she collapsed. You foolish, brave, impossible woman, he said, tears streaming down his face. I saved you, she managed to smile. You almost died. Worth it. He held her close, and she felt his tears on her neck. Don't leave me, he begged. Never, she promised. Sarah's wound healed, leaving a scar on her side. She wore it proudly. Patterson was sentenced to life in prison. Marcus's name was completely cleared, and slowly, the cold fortress became a warm home. Marcus still had his serious moments, his military discipline, but with Sarah, he was different, softer, more human. They planted a garden together in the courtyard. Roses bloomed where once there had only been stone. One evening, sitting in that garden watching the sunset, Marcus took Sarah's hand. I never said thank you, he said. For what? For saving me. Not just that night, but every day since you walked into my life. Sarah smiled. We saved each other. He kissed her, gentle and warm. I love you, Sarah Hale. I love you too, Marcus. And as the sun set over their home, Sarah realized something beautiful. She'd been forced into this marriage against her will, but somewhere along the way, she chose to stay, chose to fight, chose to love. And that choice made all the difference. Thank you for staying with Sarah and Marcus until the very end. Their story teaches us something important, that healing is possible, that love can grow even in the hardest situations, that strength isn't about building walls, it's about having the courage to let them down. Sarah could have stayed bitter, Marcus could have stayed broken, but they chose differently. They chose to see each other, to fight for each other, to build something beautiful from something painful. And that's what I want you to take away from this story. No matter how trapped you feel right now, you always have a choice. You can let circumstances destroy you, or you can find strength you didn't know you had. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, share it with someone who needs to hear this message today, and drop a comment. Tell me what moment in this story moved you the most. Remember, your story isn't over yet, and the best chapters might still be ahead. This is Tell Sunnac. Real stories, real emotions, real lessons. See you in the next one.